This is a Fox News alert just in moments ago. Big changes could be coming in U.S. policy toward the World Health Organization, the widely discredited World Health Organization. Good evening. Welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. Documents obtained by this show moments ago suggest the Trump administration will soon announce a major change in America's posture toward WHO. We'll have details for you. We're sorting through them right now in just a moment. But first tonight, the country appears to be splitting into two hemispheres even as we watch. There are those places where public officials are allowing science to guide their decisions. States like that are cautiously beginning to relax their lockdowns and finding no spike in illness as they do it. Those are the free states. And then there's the other half of the country, the places where you're glad you don't live right now. In those places, power-drunk politicians crow about science, but resolutely ignore its findings. They don't read the studies. They don't care what the data say. Their decisions are driven by ambition, political calculation, and the pure animal joy of controlling other people's lives. Places like that are tightening their lockdowns even now. Maybe no place in the country represents the authoritarian approach, the Chinese approach, more starkly than Los Angeles does. LA County has more residents than New York City, but while New York has had close to 200,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus, LA has had only about 35,000 in the whole county. Now, the real figure is certainly much higher than that. That's what we find every time widespread testing takes place. But that's the point. So few people in LA have died, relatively speaking, that we're not certain how many are infected. We know they're not sick enough to crowd hospitals. The city's healthcare system has never come close to collapsing. In Los Angeles, the curve is now flat, and it has been flat for weeks. It could reopen tomorrow, and it should reopen, and it would if its leaders were following the science. But it's not reopening. Just the opposite is happening. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti has now extended the lockdown through the end of July. That means at least 2.5 more months of it. He's using law enforcement liberally to make certain that his citizens obey his orders. Police say they brought criminal charges against at least 60, quote, non-essential businesses for the crime of going to work. Countless other businesses have shut forever. They're not coming back. The citizens who remain stuck in Los Angeles are effectively hostages of the mayor. Garcetti has demanded that anyone who goes outside for any reason, as the heat rises in LA, must wear a mask. It goes without saying there is no science to back up this order or any of Garcetti's so-called health decisions. In fact, it's possible that requiring masks outside will not prevent a single person from being infected in Los Angeles. But Garcetti doesn't care. Anyone who disobeys this order will be punished. It's nuts, but it's just the beginning of Eric Garcetti's thoroughly bizarre restrictions. The more you know, the weirder it is. Watch, for example, as Garcetti explains that anyone who goes to the beach must make certain not to touch dry sand. Wet sand is fine. Dry sand is now illegal.
Beaches will open up this week for exercise and active recreation only in the wet sand, I guess is a good way of thinking about it, not hanging out and tanning in the dry sand.
What's the science behind this? Once again, of course, there is none. None. This isn't reasoned, thoughtful policy making. It's the expression of an autocrat who decided he must look tough by doing something or he won't get elected president, which has always been Eric Garcetti's primary goal. It's scary if you think about what this means. It means that America's second largest city has fallen under the total control of a neurotic megalomaniac who is terrified of dry sand. Eric Garcetti's personal phobias are now law in Los Angeles. It makes you think of the final days of Nicolae Ceausescu in Romania, ranting at his subjects from the podium, imposing his strange obsessions on a helpless population. It would not be surprising to learn that Eric Garcetti is a compulsive hand washer with a very strange personal life. Guys like this are always the same once you scratch the surface. So how long will Los Angeles have to live like this? Possibly forever, Garcetti announced this week.
We've never been fully closed. We'll never be completely open until we have a cure. But I do believe that we can take steps, but monitor those numbers, listen to the scientists and the medical professionals, and make the tough calls, even when there's criticism.
Yeah, this can't go on. It's too crazy. Now, you may mock Los Angeles, and in some cases it's deserved. There are some flaky people who live there. Barbra Streisand's in Malibu. But there are also an awful lot of normal, decent people in Los Angeles, millions of them. And some of them understand where Eric Garcetti is taking them and their city, and they've had enough. A couple of days ago, a group of them came together. It's totally bipartisan. Some of them are well-known liberal Democrats, some are conservative Republicans and have been all their lives. Others are labor leaders, middle-class voters. The one thing they all have in common is the dead certain knowledge that Mayor Eric Garcetti is poison. He's hurting their city, he's hurting their families. Garcetti has allowed tens of thousands of mentally ill drug addicts to live on Los Angeles sidewalks and under overpasses. If you've been there recently, you know. He's also tolerated flagrant corruption in his own administration. Now he shut the entire city down simply because he feels like it. This group of citizens is going to try and bounce Eric Garcetti from the mayor's office. And they can. Under California law, politicians can be recalled by voters. You remember that Californians did it to their governor, Gray Davis, 17 years ago. It worked. Now, a recall petition in California requires 330,000 signatures. And that, unfortunately, is where Eric Garcetti has the advantage. Thanks to Garcetti's extended shelter-in-place orders, citizens are not allowed to gather these signatures. So under the guise of public health, Garcetti has stopped his political opponents from opposing him. And he's not the only one. You've seen this happen in many states, Michigan, New Jersey, others. Politicians around the country are doing this. As long as there is no vaccine for the Wuhan coronavirus, they can remain in power unchallenged forever. It's nice for them. They're enjoying it. But in Los Angeles, Garcetti may have gone too far. The future of the city is at stake. The recall Garcetti forces are taking this issue, the issue of signatures, to court, trying to win the right to gather the signatures online. We'll keep you posted on how they do because it's important. But the bigger point is, these people are not passive. These are Americans who understand what has been taken from them, and they are trying to get it back as they should. We're seeing this happen around the country, thank God. In New Jersey, for example, citizens are still banned from assembling to worship together as they choose. That's a direct violation of the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. We asked the governor of Jersey, Phil Murphy, about this when he came on our show. He said he wasn't even really thinking about the Bill of Rights when it comes to controlling his population because it's in the way.